My name is Joe Miklich. I'm the president of Allegro Development Company. I've been with the company for 10 years now. I've been in the senior housing industry my entire professional career, and it actually goes beyond that. My father was a developer of assisted living and memory care. He started back in the early 90s, so my career day in 8th grade was at a assisted living construction job site. So 30 years later, I'm still going strong in the industry, and it's really something that I love doing. That's a passion of mine. I think that a lot of people in our industry now have that personal experience where my grandparents needed assisted living and memory care. Right now, my mother-in-law is looking for a memory care place, so we really understand how important it is to find the right location and to design the building appropriately. So I started in senior housing as soon as I graduated college in 2005. So I've been in the industry for going on 18 years now, and I just celebrated my 10-year anniversary with Allegro last week. No two projects are the same. So for Allegro development, we're always designing the building from scratch and from the inside out. And what I mean by that is we don't look at a site and figure out how we can fit our prototypical building on that site. We start from the interior of the building, and namely the food service and the service entry, because for every Allegro project, there's going to be multiple neighborhoods where we're servicing multiple dining venues. So the food service is really where the ground zero of our design starts. And Allegro has a hub and spoke type of design approach. And what I mean by that is we'd like to have a central focal point of the community. And for us, it's usually a multi-story atrium. And the atrium does a couple of things for us. First, it is a wow factor. As soon as you enter our buildings, it's a very expensive and difficult design to produce. It requires all sorts of fire barriers and protections, but it really creates this sense of entry. And it also is a functional purpose in terms of it allows sound to carry up through the multiple stories of the building to let residents know when certain activities are happening and hopefully to encourage them to come out and participate. The other aspect of the hub and spoke design is that we like to cluster all of our amenities right around that central core. And the idea there is to keep the building footprint as compact as possible to really limit walk distances. So with a multi-story building and all the amenity spaces clustered around the central atrium, what it means is that no resident is going to have to walk more than typically 200 feet from an end unit at the end of a corridor to get to the central core, to go to whatever activity space they're looking to get to that day, or to hop on an elevator and take it down to another floor wherever they're trying to get to is still within a very close walk distance. Development is critical in the sense of we can put our operations team in the best position to succeed. Namely, we understand that in this business, the care team, the dining team, the team that's on site is really the most important element to any one of the Allegro communities. But by picking the right site and designing the building appropriately, we can put them in the best position to succeed. And we understand that it's very important to our residents and to their families that there's still some sense of independence and privacy, and everything that we put into our buildings is designed to support those goals. So it goes down to the minutia in terms of the right materials throughout the building, the right carpeting, the right color scheme. We understand that a lot of our residents can shuffle their feet, so even the details in terms of flooring transitions to eliminate any trip hazards, it's all critical to the ongoing success and functionality of these buildings. Beyond that, we are also designing to be attractive to employees. It's critical for our communities to retain employees, to make sure that they're as happy as possible, to put them in the best mood every day to go out and to give our residents the best experience possible. So some of the other design elements that we focus on is geared towards making employees happy as well. We put a lot of money and time into designing the right employee break room. Another key thing is kitchen design and making sure that the top quality chefs that we're trying to attract have the right equipment, have the right sized dry storage, cold storage, that the line is open and nobody's getting into each other's way. So a lot of the design is also factored on employee happiness and retention, which then translate to better care and a better resident experience. The details of the materials in common areas is important, especially coming out of the pandemic. We want everything to be easy to clean and keep sanitary. We want the colors to be the right balance of a very home-like environment, but also presentable and create a wow factor for visitors. We don't want it to feel like a museum where the residents don't want to sit down on the furniture and treat it as their home. I think the core principle of assisted living design is to encourage residents to come out of their units and to interact with other residents and to participate in all the activities. So it's finding that right balance of still creating that attractive private space where our residents can recuperate every day, but to also create very inviting common areas to where it really promotes the socialization and engagement of our residents on a daily basis. Our memory care neighborhoods are designed similar to assisted living to encourage engagement and interaction. So you're only going to find studios. It's essentially a private bedroom where all the residents will be able to bring in comforting furniture, pictures, create that home-like environment inside their unit, but it's really meant to encourage residents to be out of their unit on a daily basis, participating in activities, engaging with other residents and staff, and to treat the entire memory care neighborhood as their home. The other design elements that are critical for memory care are easy to clean materials, open spaces, lots of natural light, and then also creating some outdoor amenity space so that our residents that are not able to go outside on their own have that ability to go outside for fresh air every day. It was an exciting partnership with the Lawrence Group, a local St. Louis architectural firm, and we were brought on board to create differentiators in the marketplace. And so what we were able to do was to really look at getting the resident units designed to allow for the maximum amount of natural light. And some of the other detail that we put into our units are real differentiators in the marketplace. A very minor thing, in our view, is creating a sense of entry into a resident unit, where a lot of assisted living units, you're walking straight from the corridor into a kitchen. And what we do is, by creating just a little dividing wall and putting different flooring at the entry, we create a foyer to where we understand that a lot of our residents are moving to us from a single family home that they've lived in for years, and we understand what a difficult decision it is to make this move into an assisted living community. So just the little touches that we can do to make it as consistent of an experience to a home-like environment is a big deal. Another thing that we like to do is we put in a full-size refrigerator into our assisted living units. It's not that it always gets used, but that's what our residents had at their prior home. And a lot of times you get a college-sized refrigerator that will house your leftovers. It's functional, it's great, but it's not what you're used to and not what you're comfortable with. Another big differentiator for us was just the size of the windows in the resident units. A lot of our residents are not as physically mobile. Some of our residents have cognitive impairments that don't allow them to get outside every day. So the idea of bringing as much natural light into the resident units and into the community is critical for our success. For a more urban model of assisted living and memory care, where you don't have the real estate to work with, then we had to focus on incorporating things that we had been able to do on other projects on the ground floor in a more vertical environment. So in this case, we only had 1 acre of real estate to work with, and we had to put memory care on the top floor. It only made sense doing it that way because, first of all, we always try to stack elements of design throughout the building. So trying to get all the plumbing lined up, all the elevators, common areas, it all typically lines up. So in this case, it just made more sense to put the memory care floor with studios on the top floor. But what that did was it took away our ability to provide a ground floor memory garden. So we had to provide a 4th floor outdoor space that will allow our residents to get fresh air, to get outdoor activity on a daily basis in a secure location that is conveniently accessed for everybody that lives in the memory care neighborhood. They don't have to get on the elevator to go down to the ground floor to get that outdoor space. I'd start with some of the back of house space that our residents, their families, visitors never see. The employee break room being a very nice, welcoming space to give our caregivers, the entire staff here, that 30 minutes that they need to take a breather, to refresh, and to be ready to take the best care possible of our residents. You know, that little touch really helps employee retention and allows the same caregivers to be working with the same residents every day through the life of the experience at Allegro. Another key back of house feature is the kitchen design and making sure that it's functional and it's got the right equipment that we can use to attract the top talent to provide the best dining service possible. Some other design nuance that people might not always pick up on right away or give us a lot of credit for without knowing is the atrium design, the audio cue for our residents to be able to hear an event, an activity going on, and to decide that's something I want to participate in, really is at the core of the benefit of living in a community like this, where it really is about that socialization and engagement of residents. So the entire design keeps that in mind. And it's not just about providing all of the same spaces that an assisted living community will typically have, but it's about making it convenient and inviting so we can maximize utilization. A lot of us that are designing these buildings for Allegro have lived through the process of looking for an assisted living or memory care option for our loved ones. So we have that firsthand experience of knowing what we'd be looking for our family members. And the things that jump out to me are the attention to detail inside the resident units, from the foyer to the kitchen design to the bathroom design, the fact that we have no shared occupancy between non-related parties, so you're never having to share a bathroom with a stranger. These things make a big difference to us, it makes a big difference to the families. I think that in the common areas, there's really just that attention to detail in terms of the materials, the carpeting. You know, it can be very disorienting for residents to have a very loud, noisy carpet pattern as they're trying to get from one part of the building to the other. So it's always this fine balance of picking something that's easy to clean and will always present well, but it's not going to disorient the residents. So we're always looking at a ground zero, starting from scratch approach to design. The industry is constantly evolving. We're looking into ways to embrace technology. One difference for Allegro is, right now we do not use cameras throughout the building. We rely on staffing and the human touch, but we know that some of the camera technologies, especially fall prevention technologies, are improving to the point where you can maintain the privacy laws, but also add that extra layer of protection and education so we can adjust our operating protocols to ensure the most safe and enjoyable resident experience. Other details that family members might not see but would appreciate include the design elements to keep employees happy and healthy. I think that the multiple dining venues is becoming more and more the norm in our industry, where it's not an experience of going to a cafeteria every day, but a more intimate dining venue. We know that that is one of the most looked forward to experiences of the day. So we really do need to take that time to make sure that that dining experience meets the expectations of our residents. Certainly, I think it starts with location. If you look at all of the assisted living homes that have been built in St. Louis, the vast majority are to the west of here. So servicing Richmond Heights first and foremost, but Clayton, Central West End, there really weren't any newer high quality options east of Clayton. So locationally speaking, we felt like this community was covering an underserved submarket of St. Louis. From a design perspective, some of the features that we've talked about in terms of the amount of natural light that we bring into our communities. You'll notice the grand staircase right as you enter the community with the cascading water globe. That's the kind of signature feature of this building. The staircase feels like it's coming straight off a cruise ship. There's a 2-story window wall right behind it that invites a lot of natural light. The globe with cascading water is that audio cue to let people know, residents know that are a little bit disoriented, where they need to go to get to all the common areas. That central atrium, multi-story, is not something that you'll see at other communities in this area. So there was a lot of thought put into what we could do a little bit differently, not reinventing the wheel, but just making slight improvements. You'll notice that our movie theater is much more replicating the experience of going to the movies than just a big screen TV with a bunch of chairs set up. It's actually theater seating where residents can go in, get a bag of popcorn, and replicate that experience of going out to the movies. So a lot of details went into this building that collectively created a very unique community in the St. Louis market. Live beautifully means to me is that it raises the standard that the development team is striving to meet in terms of delivering the best located and best designed building to our operations team and ultimately to our families and the residents that live with us. There's no better feeling for any member of the development team than to revisit one of our projects, to walk through the building, and to see the quality of life that that's brought to our residents. And that's what ultimately makes us all worthwhile.